All right, folks, welcome back to another fantastic edition of Opali Presents Know Your Pros. And today's guest, we have Brian McDiffett of American Craftsman Restoration. He is your general manager over there at this restoration company based out of Santa Clarita. They service residential clients, commercial clients, school districts, and different municipalities like Santa Clarita, but they are your local emergency restoration partner prepared to face any situation. And I've been talking with Brian for almost an hour now before we even started shooting this. So, Brian, welcome in earnest to Know Your Pros.
Hey, Henry, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you too, Brian. And like I said, we've talked for almost an hour here, and it's just because both of us, to you, or you in a much, much greater extent, know the restoration game. And it shows in the type of business that's been built at American Craftsman, what you guys have online in terms of reputation. It's fantastic. But when I first met you at a Moore Park Mixer, you had told me that you didn't expect to be in this business when you kind of got started. But now you are here and you're walking the walk and talking the talk like nobody's business. I think it's been like, what, 15 years since you started this thing up?
I think it's 15 going on 16.
Jeez. So why was it that you made this swap into the restoration game and chose to become the GM of American Craftsman? I don't think it started that way, but tell us that story.
Sure. So, honest answer is it started as having to put food on the table and getting a job. So, graduated college, and it was in 2008. The economy was bad, and restoration had a home for me. So I started here, and kind of had the idea at the beginning of I'm going to do this for a year or two, make some money, and go do something else. The more I did it, the more I got ingrained in it, and fell in love with the owner of the company and the culture of the company and the people, and really the industry as a whole. And as I started doing it more and more, it progressed from being a project manager to a department manager to a multi-division manager. And at that point, I was kind of, became my career. And instead of looking for something else, I embraced this, and I'm very glad I did. It hasn't always been easy, and bumps along the way, but this industry is a wonderful industry. I've grown to absolutely love it, and I cannot even imagine doing anything else. I got a phone call a couple of weeks ago and was reminded from a guy who used to train me. He's like, remember when we were driving together and you told me you weren't going to do this for more than 6 months and you had a degree and you weren't a restoration guy? Well, called to rub it in my face that I'm still here, and no complaints.
Well, so what's the allure then? I mean, what was the attraction that kind of kept you in the restoration business? I always say, hey, why this industry? Tell us that.
Sure. The short term for me was easy. It was the owner and the people. I found a place where I was comfortable. I enjoyed coming to work, which for years prior in high school and college, that wasn't the case. You went to work because you had to. But I found myself really enjoying it. And then as that kind of developed more and more, it really turned into where I liked not only the industry and what we did, I really enjoyed the people. I liked talking to people. I went to multiple houses each day and met people, and most of them didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to meet me because their house was flooded, fire, ran into by a car, whatever it was. And the more I did that, the more I kind of found that I was comfortable in those situations and really enjoyed that. And then from a financial and business aspect, for me, it was explained to me at the beginning, and it is one of the truest things I've ever been told, that restoration is pretty much a recession-proof industry. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing, doesn't matter who's president, doesn't matter what's going on in the world. Pipes are always going to break, fires are going to happen. People are always going to need a company to come out and help.
That's, exceedingly true. In restoration, right, you're dealing with homeowners, you're dealing with business owners, municipalities, like we mentioned, school districts that are having, one of their worst days on the books, right? We've got, something where their home is destroyed, or we're on the precipice of something much larger and much more, cost bearing about to happen in a space that, they call home or they call their business. So it's really tricky, right? Because you're in an intimate space or somebody's feeling very vulnerable and they're just like, man, this needs to be fixed now. And when they make that first phone call, it's tough to pick, right? Because there are lots of different big box restoration companies. There are the independents that are all over the place. So my last question to you is always like, hey, what is that difference? Why should somebody get in and talk to American Craftsman before, any other company?
Sure. So like you just said, we're on what would be considered a mom and pop type restoration company. We are not a franchise. We have a couple locations now in Santa Clarita, but we are a Santa Clarita based company. And you get a little different level of service when you're dealing with someone like that. We do a lot of, and I've always, since 1987, we've done a lot of work on the insurance company side, meaning we are comfortable and familiar working with the insurance companies and the rules, regulations, and how all that works. We are a full service restoration company, which means that we do water damage, dry up, we do mold, we do repairs, and then we also have a contents division that handles all the contents. And that's all in-house within our company. It's not, subbed out to other companies. We have people to do all those trades and all those different aspects of restoration. And the final thing I would say is that for me personally, hard to explain it, but the culture, again, 15 years, why I'm still here. We have a great culture that we really, really make sure when we hire people, that's one of the most important things. Being able to do the job is important, but having the right culture that both fits our employees and what we have going here, and then also translate it out to the homeowners, business owners, is very, very important to us.
Right. Well, when you have good culture, especially in a business like restoration, you're going to retain talent. And talent, as you know, is so hard to come by these days. It's just incredibly difficult to pick up new guys, train them up. But when you're talking to American Craftsmen, I mean, like, not only do you have great standards and procedures for getting folks onboarded and getting them into that culture, but you have the incentive structure, the culture in-house that's going to keep them there for a good long time,
Sure.
which is fantastic. So Brian, I do want to know a little bit about where folks can kind of get in touch with you, what your best referral partners are, and if they're experiencing an emergency and they're watching this video, how is it that they can call you?
Sure. So what I always tell people is a 24-hour emergency company, the best way to get a hold of us or any company like this typically is going to be a phone call. Emails and texts don't always land to the right place. So in order to get a hold of us, the best way is a phone number, which is 661-295-5176. You can also check out our website, which is www.americancraftsman.net. And I said craftsman because a lot of people go with the craftsman, and a lot of spelling parts there that are a little tricky. So
Right. Well, just one more thing I do want to hammer down. I mean, these guys here at American Craftsman, right? They are full service. They do restoration in both residential and commercial styles. They've got your municipality services. They've got school districts under their belt as well. Rotary members, Santa Clarita Valley Chamber members. These guys have been around the block and they know what they're doing, experience with insurance. If you are throughout Los Angeles County and into Ventura County as well, here in my home base, it's Brian McDiffett and American Craftsman Restoration. So Brian, it's really been a pleasure coming by and having you chat, man. We should have been recording this whole first hour before we even jumped into this, man.
Hey, next time, let's do it.
A pleasure to have you, Brian. Until then, man.
I appreciate it, Henry. Have a good one.